I think for the price, Zay Flowers is probably the safe bet. He's been tied to the New England Patriots at 14, which could happen. They've definitely been looking at the receiver position pretty hard. We know it's a big need. It's something Bill Belichick has not addressed in the first round for a while. And they like those smaller, kind of explosive, quick twitch receivers over the JSN slot guys. The only thing that changes that, I think, is the trade today between the Jets and the Packers.
Yeah.
The Packers jumped 2 picks specifically to jump the Patriots, which makes me think maybe it could be for Jackson Smith and Jigba, so they could get ahead of the Patriots, make sure they get their top receiver. But a plus 650, I'll take a shot on Zay Flowers still being the first guy. Maybe the Packers take Michael Mayer, another target, the tight end out of Notre Dame for them, and ultimately Flowers goes to the Patriots. We see JSN fall down the board, or maybe someone moves up for him later. I'm going around 2 right now. I think we should learn our lesson from last year when we had Malik Willis in the first round and Matt Corral sneaking in the back end, right? We were all hyped up on these quarterbacks. So many teams need them. But, what team in the first is going to say, wow, I'm going to take the 25-year-old with the ACL injury who played in a gimmick offense? I think Hendon Hooker's great. I think he could be a great quarterback. Send him a year and let him produce. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I think as a prospect, there's a lot of red flags. Let's say I'd rather wait a little bit. I think maybe we look at the second round. The Las Vegas Raiders there at 38 would make a lot of sense to me. They have Jimmy Garoppolo for a year. They don't have to rush Hooker back from the ACL injury. I think he fits what Josh McDaniels wants in a quarterback, a guy that is a little more cerebral but has some athleticism to him. But that Josh Heupel offense at Tennessee, it's a far way from an NFL offense. I think it's going to scare some teams off. So I think we're going to see a lot of mocks with Hendon Hooker in the first round. Mine will not be one of them.
I saw a guy walking down the street when I went and got dinner, and he was wearing, not a joke, I saw him maybe 40 yards away. He was wearing a green Jets sweater, green Jets sweatpants, green Jets hat. And I saw him 30 yards away, and I have my little pot bellies in my hand. I go, Jets, 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 Jets. And I'd never seen a grown man happier than he was. He was like, yeah, that's right. It. The day is here.
Yeah.
We are back, baby. We finally have a quarterback.
Yeah. That's like how you should be reacting, because for the first time in a long time, who was the last Jets franchise quarterback? Mark Sanchez, they thought, when he took them to back-to-back AFC championship games. I get their fans being excited, but I find the Packers fans who are all excited and celebrating on Twitter to be a little weird. I mean,
why would you celebrate him being gone?
I get you're excited for Jordan Love.
Did you think it was a good haul, at least? The compensation?
I do think it's a good haul. I wish that they didn't have to give up pick 15, so they just had the back-to-back picks in the draft in the first round. But I'll take that haul. I'll take the second-round pick. I love it for the Jets because they finally get their quarterback, and finally this whole thing is over, and they get it done before the draft, so now they could think moving forward. And they also don't have to give up just their first-round pick, so they have nothing in the first round. So now they got to get some help on the offensive line. I think that's what they need, because Rodgers is going to be 39 years old. Breece Hall just tweeted out a couple hours ago that he's going to be back even sooner than he thought. Garrett Wilson could be a top 5 receiver. I'm going to play a lot of Garrett Wilson props this year. He could lead the league, honestly, in touchdowns and become like his Devontae Adams. We'll see what ends up happening. I think some other guys are going to join up. Randall Cobb's tweeting out pictures, Mercedes Lewis, even though they're probably not going to give you a whole lot of production on the field. What they could bring off the field to a team like the Jets, a young team, I think is huge. You still have Corey Davis. You have Alan Lazard. They could run the football. I like both tight ends that they have. And for the second time in his career, Rodgers is probably going to play with the top 10 defense. Last time that happened, he won a Super Bowl. So I like this for the Jets. The problem is, obviously, they're in the AFC. They're in a really tough division. The Bills are still going to be really tough. If they do get into the playoffs, they're going to have to most likely see Mahomes and Herbert with a real play caller and better talent. So the AFC is loaded and just got more loaded. But I love this for the Jets, and I'm a believer that they could win 12, 13 games. For the Packers, I know their fans just think, well, hey, we went from Favre to Rodgers, now we go to Jordan Love. My problem with that is, even if Jordan Love is good, like you go back to Rodgers' first real year as a starter, he threw 28 touchdown passes to just 12 picks, had over 4,000 yards passing, and they still won 6 games because the defense blew 4 leads down the stretch. And that's the problem. This defense was what hyped me up about the team last season. I said this is going to be a top 10 defense, maybe even top 5, and that wasn't me being a homer. everybody thought that Packers defense was going to live up to the expectations. Rashawn Gary gets hurt. Jair Alexander did not have that bounce back year after coming back from an injury. Eric Stokes got hurt. The guys that they paid, Rasul Douglas, Devondre Campbell, like we see why they're practice squad players every year. They did live up and got their contracts, but I just think it's going to be a rebuild for the Packers. Maybe it could be a rebuild on the fly, but I mean, look at the odds to win the NFC North. You're getting 4-1 odds, better than 4-1 odds for them to win the NFC North. I think that's telling you everything, and probably the worst division in all of football. So I'm rooting for Jordan Love, but I think even if he's good, and even if he throws 25 touchdown passes, 12 picks, 4,000 yards, I think those stats are realistic with Christian Watson in a full season and Romeo Doubs. We'll see what they do in the draft, man. They have pick 13. Maybe they get Jackson Smith-Njigba. Maybe they actually get a tight end for like the first real time since Jermichael Finley in the 1 year with Jared Cook. Maybe Jordan Love actually gets a tight end, and it's Kincaid out of Utah, or it's Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, or it's even Darnell Washington out of Georgia. I like all three of those guys. Yeah. I think that's what you want with a young quarterback more than another receiver, because I think Christian Watson's a number 1 in this league. I think Romeo Doubs is a 2, and then you sign a vet. Or maybe you find that value that you always find if you're Green Bay in the 3rd or 4th round.
Do you guys agree right now that the Celtics should be the betting favorite in the NBA?
No.
Who do you think should be?
I think it's Milwaukee.
Okay.
Milwaukee with Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and all the role players that they acquired. Joe Ingles, our man Jay Crowder. They've had Grayson Allen for a little bit, but yeah, I think that they're just like a much more dynamic team, defensively, offensively, and I hate to say this. Oh my God, I don't even know why. I'm gonna say it.
It's a Monday. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say it. I think the coaching advantage I give to Budenholzer over Joe Mazzulla.
Okay, yeah,
He's
actually,
done this
you know what?
before.
That's fair because he's been there before.
He's been there.
He has.
He won a title. Joe Mazzulla has done. Ooh, I almost cussed. He's done nothing.
Diddly squat.
He's done diddly.
I think I'd give. I can't believe I'm saying this either. I think I'd give Mike Budenholzer the coaching advantage over any remaining team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I think you're right. Besides maybe Spoelstra.
Tristan, now that Ime Udoka is going to coach the Houston Rockets, do you think that there is potential we could see Nick Nurse maybe on the sideline for the Sixers?
Oh, wow, that would be a really incredible...
Hadn't thought about that until right this second, but I'm kind of like, that would work.
That would be a great spot for Nick. I think this is a situation where if you're Nick, you're waiting. You're not going to take a job for Detroit or... that's the only job really available. Or Charlotte, Charlotte, if they end up firing Steve Clifford or whatever.
Yeah. That's career suicide.
Philly would be
Philly would be an
fantastic.
awesome one.
Yeah.
I love, for Houston, I love the fact that they got Ime Udoka. I actually went to Cincinnati and did that event, and I was talking to Kenyon Martin, who has his son play on the Rockets, and I was like, who they should fire Steven Silas and get is Ime Udoka. And he goes, oh, don't sleep. That's already being put in motion. And I was like, for real? And he's like, yes. Like, the powers that be want Ime, so that is something that you can expect. It's a great situation for the Rockets. Anybody who loves playing team basketball, you're going to love Ime. If you're a chucklehead, it's going to be a rough go for you because he's going to bury you in the media. And then for Ime, you finally get an actual head coaching gig.
Yeah.
We never knew if you were going to get one again.
Yeah.
You rehab your image and your reputation. You show what you could do. Maybe James Harden does go to Houston. Maybe you find a way to reunite with Jaylen Brown because Jaylen Brown was a huge fan of yours. Now all of a sudden you got Jaylen Brown, James Harden, Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün. Oh my God.
Kevin Porter.
No, Kevin Porter's gone, dog.
Yeah.
Oh, you think?
He's gone.
Oh, okay.
He's not an Ime Udoka guy.
Oh, okay.
But KJ Martin's probably still there. Tari Eason.
But I do think it's going to be C.J. Stroud number 2. I don't know, maybe the Raiders freak out and they move up, or somebody has to move up. But, look at every single throw that he made while at Ohio State. Look at the stats, man. What did he throw? 12 picks, over 60 touchdown passes? I know he's playing in that offense, but you saw what he did on the biggest
Will Anderson's
stage.
there at 12?
No, I think he's going to go
No
top 5,
chance.
top 6
So,
still.
okay, so what do they do?
Who's that?
Houston, do they figure out a way?
I think
they go Stroud.
Yeah, because I think if you don't go Stroud, what you're saying is we're going to take our defensive guy. I don't buy into Levis at the number 2 overall pick.
Completely agree.
I've seen enough Will Levis. I'm not saying he's not going to go top 10. I just don't think you could go with him over Stroud. I think Stroud's more of a sure thing.
Agreed.
Whereas Levis might need a year or two to develop. I think Stroud starts season 1. I don't know how good it's going to be, but I think he's NFL ready. I think Bryce is NFL ready. I think everybody else is a project. And I like Stroud still the most.
You think CJ is NFL ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he'll be the best quarterback. And I love Bryce, too. I think they're both going to be really good, though.
Yeah.
I like Stroud. I mean, I don't know what else he needs to prove. I know that he does it against Big Ten defenses and not great secondaries. We could talk about the players he's throwing to, but Jackson Smith-Njigba was hurt the whole year. Marvin Harrison got hurt against Georgia, and he still lit it up in the second half. Every time that we'd have somebody on, I've been all about Stroud like the last 6 months, even when he was at Ohio State. I bet them against Georgia in that game and bet on the money line because of him.
They should have won.
And everybody's like, well, they just don't know if he's athletic enough, or they want to see him use his legs more when the play breaks down because he just has a clean pocket to throw from. He's probably the second most athletic quarterback in this draft.
What are we
man.
talking about right now? Like, Joe Burrow had a lot of weapons to throw to as well.
Right.
And nobody is discounting Joe Burrow's ability.
Yeah.
Tua had a pretty good receiving core.
Tua as well, yeah.
The last time we did this and we did the system quarterback thing, well, we've done it a couple times. We did it with Justin Fields. We were like, what Ohio State quarterbacks ever worked out? And I'll say this. I'll say Justin Fields is a really good football player. We don't know that he's going to be a great quarterback, but we know that he's rushing for 180 yards every other week. And then we did this with Justin Herbert, even though the system changed while he was at Oregon. Chip wasn't even his coach. We're like, what Oregon quarterbacks ever panned out? Remember Marcus Mariota or Dennis Dixon? And then Herbert's the real deal because he's 6'5", 6'6", and he can make every throw. C.J. Stroud, like, what's the knock on him? He's 6'3", he's 220, he's fast enough, he's quick enough. We've seen him make every throw. I know that he was in the 18th percentile taking that test. I just think at the end of the day, the tape speaks for itself, and you have to take him top 5. I think he goes number 2 overall, and I love those odds that we're getting right now. I mean, even if they're 3-1 tomorrow, I'd still bet it.
Bryce Young.
Okay. And then CJ second?
Yes.
Nice.
And then, like, it's a very, 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 very far drop off from there.
Yeah, I think I like Hooker third.
Yeah.
Really? See, I like Richardson third.
Ugh.
Like for what he could be, but like
Yes.
when does he
I don't
actually
like
get
the
on the
coulds.
field though? Year 2, year 3, or do you just throw him out there?
Like,
and have
year
him learn?
8.
Guys,
that rookie year could be
this
bad.
dude makes throws, like, especially in college football, like, arm talent just stands out so much. NFL, right? Everybody's good. They can make the throws. But, like, college football, like, there are throws Richardson makes, and you're like, how did that get there? It's like major league pitching, right? Like, when you grow up and you're playing Little League, and the ball just kind of dips out of the strike zone, and then you get to a certain point, and guys are throwing mid-70s, and the ball just, like, won't dip. It just stays there. It's like that in the NFL. Like, you're just, like, you're waiting for, like, the ball to kind of move, and it's just, like, it's a flat line. It's a frozen rope. And the ball just comes out different out of his hand. And then the talent, like, the way that he can run, man.
Oh, yeah, he makes plays like only other guy that I could think of that could do that is, like, Kyler Murray. Like, remember that 2-point conversion that Murray had? The play lasted, like, 35 seconds, and he pump-faked. And he went the opposite way, and he had defensive ends just diving at his legs. I saw Anthony Richardson do that like 3-4 times.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he can make plays, but that's what it didn't surprise me at the combine. I was like, yeah, this guy's a freak. Like, we've known that. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, we know that. But I think it's going to take a couple years, and then I don't know what he is at the next level. I think Jake Haener could be like Drew Brees or like a Russell Wilson. He's 6 foot. He's not the biggest guy. It depends like what system you get drafted in. You know, Brock Purdy's not Brock Purdy if he's a Texan.
No.
Of
course not.
He's
He'd be the first to tell you that.
Yeah, so if, Jake Haener could end up in, let's say, New England or let's say, Buffalo or something like that, and he's a serviceable backup that gets a chance, I think he could be able to play a little bit. I think New England would be a great fit, and if they're not sold on Mac, who knows?
He might.
Oh, like the outline
The
tonight?
outline. That's a good question.
God, Jimmy Butler has 53 points on 19 of 28 shooting. He's
This
also
is
got,
like the best game of Jimmy Butler's life. Do you guys agree?
Oh, yeah. He's also got 9 boards.
I think this is the best playoff game I've seen somebody play since Dame went nuclear against Denver.
Yeah.
What was that, 11 threes he hit
Yeah.
or something?
The second highest score.
And they lost, though.
They did, yeah.
Bam with 15.
Bam with 15.
Bam with 15, Jimmy with 53. Gabe Vincent
Bam's the
with
second
10.
leading scorer.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Duncan Robinson hasn't scored since half. Caleb Martin's got it's been see that's the thing. Like Jimmy giving them 53 obviously backbreaker, but when you got Gabe Vincent and you got Caleb Martin going to combined 4 for 9 from 3, you're screwed in the fourth quarter. Not good.
Ridiculous. So that game's at commercial.